aspects that I'm looking at. I'm really interested in exploring more about the kind of discursive understandings within scholarship, within popular discourse, especially caregiver talk as well. And so those are different aspects that I've been looking at. One aspect that I'm interested in kind of going more deeply into is the use of the phrase Rett girls in medical literature. What does it mean to address individuals with Rett syndrome only as girls? What does it mean to give them this identity of Rett girls? How is AI ableist, so artificial intelligence and ableism? I was asking some of the AI tools, definitions of Rett syndrome, and I was stunned at some of the very regressive ways of referring to individuals with Rett syndrome, including using terms like mental retardation and others, which are outdated and no longer used, but being, spit out as if they are, current and contemporary understandings in RS. Issues of ethics and consent in RS, this is something that's important to me to think about constantly as somebody who does research with her own child. I think it's my strength that I'm able to have 24/7, sometimes on weekends, access to my research participant who lives with me and is born of me. So, but there is a lot of pushback also within the field. I always get a question about, well, I don't know, this is by the mother. We don't really know where this is going and whether we can trust it. And so part of me, my project is to push back against those kinds of things, but also to be deeply reflective of that. Conceptions about cognition and education in RS. There's a lot of deficit-oriented perspectives, and so I've been, in fact, this is one of the long-standing ideas we've been thinking about. What can we say about cognition? What does it say about who we are in how we, in our ideologies about cognition? And so that's one of the really exciting areas in which I do work, and where I end up talking to more neuroscientists and neurologists than I probably had expected to in my life. And of course, last but not least, how do individuals with Rett syndrome language their world? So how does ASC work as language? What about marginalization of Bengali? There are 18 languages in terms of softwares available for my daughter's speech device, but none of those 18 have the 5th and 6th most widely spoken languages in the world, Bengali and Hindi, which are my first and second languages. And in fact, not a single Indian language is out of 18. India is today the most populous nation in the world. So what does it again say about access and equity? Reception versus production. What is the perception in terms of cognition or your ability to language when you are able to produce less, but we don't really know what's happening from a receptive perspective. So how can we make claims about reception and understanding when we don't have full access because of disabilities to production? There's issues like heat maps, things that go on behind the scenes that tell me where Kalika is looking, or you can tell what other people are looking when they're looking at eye tracking devices. That's a little bit of data that we've been collecting for a while that we're going to continue to explore. And of course, foreign language pedagogy, which is kind of central to the kind of teaching work I do. And last but not least, what are family language practices in multi-disability settings? So I'm going to show you a picture, very messy dining table, forgive me. That's me, that's Kalika, talking to my mom who's in India, my parents are in India, using that device. At the back of the device is a little screen that you can read and actually says what she's saying. My mom, who is hard of hearing, has to read it because she can't hear what's actually what the actual audible output is. And then she has to tell my father, who is legally blind. And it's that complexity that, of course, I'm facilitating, because I'm yelling at my mom going, please, put on your headphones or something, or, read what she's saying. And then also just trying to kind of manage the entire aspect, but also it's just really fascinating data that I'm collecting. But of course, I'm really close to all the different participants, and that gives me a very unique part of the window into the world. Next time I collect data, I'm going to be sure to clean it up a little bit. All the videos look like this with good reason. So anyway, this is just to say that moving forward, I hope that my work will continue to contribute to the development of more inclusive and equitable spaces in language and literacy education, especially in the significant disability context. And my work remains centered at, kind of the intersection of disability, discourse, and ideology. And I think these really help us to better understand the ways in which language and literacy practices are shaped by broader social and cultural and political forces. So thank you. And I do run a Red Lab. We meet weekly, and undergrads, MA students, and PhD students are very welcome. We've been operating for 4 years with no funding, but we love it. And everyone who's there, we don't love that we don't have any funding. We love the lab. We've published several pieces, and we just submitted another one this semester, and everybody who's ever participated has become a co-author. So we're very excited about that. I'm on Twitter if you want to see the wacky side of me. Thank you.